morning. A lovely sunny Wednesday here in West Virginia. I am Brittany Barlett. I am the director of Try This West Virginia. You know, when Try This tries to do events like this to bring folks together and talk about a big topic like paddling, a lot of folks ask why we're doing this. And so Try This was created 8 years ago to build a statewide network of healthy community activists who inspire and help one another. So it's a lot of collaboration. Since 2014, Try This has funded 347 healthy community mini grants, which is a lot. We actually had 31 last year, even despite the pandemic. We want to make it clear at the beginning of the session that we're not getting you together because Try This wants to start a paddling organization or a paddling business or anything. We just want to get folks together so that y'all can partner and brainstorm and get projects going. We find that good things often happen when we bring people from different communities together to compare notes and brainstorm possibilities in person or online. And at the Try This conference, you know, we would be doing this at West Virginia Wesleyan College if it weren't a pandemic. Many grant proposals have come out of events like these and big brainstorm sessions. So this is an online breakout session, and we would not be surprised if a mini grant proposal or something came out of this conversation, or you know, maybe not. That's not our job. Our job is to just bring folks together and see what happens. But we do have mini grants coming up this year in June. So we wanted to get this conversation started now so that if somebody had some sort of project, they could get thinking about it. We decided to have this call now specifically because paddling has grown fast in West Virginia. The pandemic had a big impact on that. The agenda for today is to hear from several folks who are, you know, gurus in their field, and we're really excited to hear what they have to say. Melanie Seiler is director of Active Southern West Virginia. If you don't know who they are yet, you should definitely check them out. She's going to give an overview of how wildwater paddling is growing in West Virginia. We also have John Ciesla, who directs Guardians of the West Fork. He's going to give you a similar overview of what's happening with flatwater paddling and new flatwater options. And then we have Evan Young, who directs Putnam Paddling for the Putnam Wellness Substance Prevention Program, to give you an overview of the growth of stand-up paddleboarding in particular and the Putnam Paddling Program. We have also invited folks from DEP, DNR, and West Virginia Tourism. After the first three overviews, we'll ask you all to fill out a short poll on this meeting. It will give us a sense of the level of interest in each possible action on the list. This poll is just a straw poll, but the things that we want to be thinking about is promoting water safety, maybe having an easily accessible, comprehensive statewide list of paddling events or access points, creating new access points, promoting it as a substance recovery tool, etc. So today our representatives from the DEP are Tommy Bergstrom, and then we have Zach Brown with the DNR, and so they will be speaking after that poll, and then we will have plenty of time afterwards to brainstorm and talk and share ideas and ask any questions from these lovely people who are presenting today. So with that being said, we will try to keep a time limit on this. So in the spirit of Kate Long, this is my favorite thing. We've been laughing at this behind the scenes. I have a little quack sound, which I say stop yakking when the duck is quacking. So we'll try to keep to a reasonable time limit today. And with that, I will quack myself because I've been talking and pass this over to the amazing Melanie Seiler with Active Southern West Virginia. And I'm super excited to hear what you have to say. Thanks for being here.
Great, thank you so much. I am gonna stick tight to my time frame, do a screen share here. Make sure you guys can all see the presentation. I am going to be speaking specifically about whitewater, and I bring this to you with my background in whitewater for the last over 20 years. So I'm currently the executive director of Active Southern West Virginia. I've been in that position for 6 years. That's a nonprofit that services Southern West Virginia. I started guiding in 1997. I've hosted downriver paddleboard races for the last 8 years and spent 10 years instructing swiftwater rescue clinics. So I would like to share here opportunities to connect with me. I love to talk about paddling and help people to find resources they need. These photos come from all last year, 2020. So in addition to getting out on the Neuengamme rivers, which I enjoy, there's also the Meadow River, the Muddledy Creek, Bluestone River, Elk River, Cherry River, and then Summersville Lake, Plum Orchard Lake, and Canal Falls. So we can see that everyone was trying to get out and about this year because of the pandemic. And West Virginia is a great place for paddling. With 32,260 miles of rivers, that touches a lot of communities. That's a lot of backdoor access that families can take advantage of the activity of paddling. And there's listed most of the major rivers. I'm sure there's a few that might have been left out. So in these conversations, we always want to touch on safety. And so I've thrown a few tips here to make sure that we all understand the importance of safety. But I want you to look at this as a way to think about how will you help other people to understand the importance of safety and get the safety message out there. So making people aware of practicing their skills in flat water before exploring on whitewater, helping people to find those river rescue courses, encouraging people to paddle in groups, identifying the appropriate gear to wear and have with you when you're in a whitewater setting, PFDs, helmets, first aid kits, rescue kits, spare paddle, cell phone, and my favorite, the snacks. And then researching and helping your friends and acquaintances and people in your community to research whitewater and moving water before they head out onto a paddling adventure. So ways to get others into paddling, and just some recommendations here: volunteering with a paddling club or an organization, taking that river rescue course, participating in a river cleanup event, becoming a raft guide with a commercial outfitter. That's an economical way to learn the skills of paddling and the benefits that come along with participating with a commercial outfitter. Joining paddle races for that experience and networking, and joining a raft race team is a great way to travel. So with that, I'm definitely within my time limit, so that's good. I'm going to pass things over to John, and John's going to take it on to some flat water.
Great, thank you, Melanie. First, I'd like to thank Try This West Virginia for this meeting today, especially Kate Long and Brittany Barlett for facilitating it. Personally, I am with the Guardians of the West Fork River Watershed. The Guardians are a 501c3 nonprofit organized in 1997 and initially started with AMD remediation. And we also cover river cleanups, river recreation, educational outreach, and trail town development. We were the sponsors of the West Fork River Water Trail, obtaining that designation through the West Virginia DOT. The water trail was 75 river miles from Stonewall Jackson Dam in Lewis County to Fairmont, West Virginia, where the West Fork meets the Tigert River and forms the Monongahela. Next. Follow up on some of the items that Melanie mentioned. How to get involved. Of course, first off, safety training is definitely at the top of the list. And there's numerous ways to do that. You can take a class. There's even YouTube videos, various organizations that will do a Facebook presentation, like low head dam safety, swift water rescue, and that kind of thing. That can get you a feel for it, but nothing's better than the experience itself. We also try to work with the Ys or rec centers. Anybody that has an indoor pool for the winter time, when it's not a good time to be on the water, is to get some people in a swimming pool and some boats, get them a feel for kayaks and whatnot, and in a little safer environment. We've also used the Coast Guard Auxiliary, who will do a presentation, a safety presentation. And during our float event, we have local outfitters, and they help with safety also. They're there to rent a boat if you don't have one, but you want to participate, and they take care of all that, and they'll make sure that you're safe as far as they can go. I've seen people who have went out on Friday and bought a boat, a kayak at Dick's, and next Saturday morning they show up and to participate in the float. And we always help people stabilize their boats and get people standing in the water and help you get in your boat. And I've seen people just get in the boat and fall right out. They just roll over because they have no experience in a boat. If you're going to get into paddling, you're going to have to make some decisions whether you're looking at a sitting kayak or sit on top, paddleboard or canoe. And you should do some research and find out which best suits what you want to do. Again, you can join or volunteer with your local watershed organizations or paddling clubs. Most of them sponsor float events or some type of paddling organization. You can compete in competitive paddling, which seems to have come to the front here, and I'm sure Evan will expound on that. Paddling is also a healthy initiative. You improve your upper body strength and aerobics while you're paddling, and you can tie these in with some health organizations in your area to make them more attractive. And we tried to tie the float in as a community event in which the town, in this case, we've been holding it in West Milford, West Virginia, that the town participates. We usually make it kind of a festival type thing with live music or DJs, food vendors, various displays, interactive things for kids, so that even if you're not a paddler, you can come down and get something to eat and look around, and you may become interested in paddling. And of course, paddling, we have to have boat access sites. And we want access sites that are family friendly, that we can get people on and off the water easily. And there's a lot of activity in that area right now. Next slide. Water trails. Water trails are officially designated through the Department of Transportation, specifically the West Virginia Recreational Trails Advisory Board. And what that does, when you receive that designation, it makes you eligible for federal funding. There's a grant program that you can apply for to help out your water trail. And again, this is administered through the West Virginia Department of Highways. Next. And here is a list of West Virginia designated water trails. There were 14 at the time I made this list up, and there may be more now. I think the Tug Fork and the Guyandotte and maybe the Big Sandy are all working on a water trail designation, or they may have received them by now. But there are 14 at the time that I made this list, again, in West Virginia, that you could paddle. Next. And the paddling community has got a boost in the arm through the government with the establishment of the Flatwater Trail Commission. Senate Bill 738 created the Flatwater Trail Commission, and I may have spoken with some of you about this when it was drumming up support while it was going through the West Virginia legislature. And the Trail Commission is envisioned to be a clearinghouse, so to speak, for everything Flatwater. And it's a 5-member commission. Three members represent the Flatwater community and 2 represent the powerboating community. Currently, those people are Bill Curry's the chairman of the group, Coal River Group, Amanda Pitzer, Friends of Cheat, George Levitsky, John S. Wilson, and John Burkett from Mingo, who I believe is involved with the Tug Fork. The commission, it's actually a pretty good deal because it reports to the Secretary of Commerce. So you have some real access when you report to the secretary, and you're only one removed from the governor. So hopefully that will be good. The group had its first meeting on February the 9th. And of course, being new organization, administrative things were discussed to get things going. It is a government entity, so they have to follow sunshine laws, the Open Meetings Act, and meet all those requirements. And they created a West Virginia Flatwater River Trails Facebook page, which seems to be very active. So if you want to follow them, I would join that group. And so far, it's really been helpful for what little time the group's been together. I was talking with Bill Curry the other day, and it came up that we had the Fish and Wildlife Service visited the West Fork here, and the new director was with the group. And the question came up, how can you prove that you're an official designated water trail? And I really couldn't answer that question because although I have copies of applications and numerous newspaper articles and all that stuff, we do not have an official document, plaque or something making it official. So that's one of the issues that the commission will be addressing. I think it's been a very good move for the paddling folks. Another thing that the commission's already done, this Recreational Trail Advisory Board has always been somewhat of a mystery. Who's on the board and how you get a hold of them, and Flatwater Commission cleared that up. We now know who is on the commission and who leads it. So far, good things are happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. That was great. I appreciate you going into that last part because that is so new, and I know a lot of folks probably don't know a lot about that yet, so I appreciate that. And Melanie, you have a lot of folks who've posted things in the chat there that you asked for, and some more trails and stuff. So definitely check out that chat, y'all, because there's some good stuff in there. If anyone else who maybe hopped on late has a paddling club or know of one, drop it in the chat. We're gonna keep this chat and share that info. All right, next up we have the fantastic Evan Young, and he is the stand-up paddleboarding guru, and he'll paddle us through this presentation, right, Evan?
Here we go, guys. Hey, again, my name's Evan. Thanks again for jumping on, everybody. And thanks for having me try this West Virginia. And thanks to Melanie and John. You know, I've learned a lot from Melanie on the river. And John welcomed me with open arms when I explored the West Fork. But I did just now start my timer a little late, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to have some fun, okay, guys? So as we get started, I just want to pop quiz you guys, write it in the chat. Where do you think this tropical oasis is that I'm paddling on right now? No wrong answers. And you may not believe it, but it's on the Kanawha River in Winfield, of all places. This is actually in a paddleboard race. It's 6.7 miles from my house. And where do you think this picture was taken right here? You can drop that in the chat too. That's actually in the New River Gorge. And as Melanie mentioned, we've been running races on there for almost a decade. Well, I haven't been. I've only jumped in the action about 4 years ago, but Melanie's done a great job on that. And I kind of represent the person that's trying to close the gap on, the paddle sports success that's happened in Fayetteville area for so many years and incorporate it into the Metro Valley regions, like by paddleboarding in Charleston, Huntington, and my hometown of Winfield on the Kanawha River. But yeah, that one cool success story. Again, I'm not the most skilled paddler, and there's a lot more people with higher credentials that could be on this call. But, I've come a long way in the last 5 years, thanks to quality instruction, the people I've surrounded myself with, and I've overcome a lot of things in my life. Like I've lost 80 pounds of body fat. I've overcome afflictions like using tobacco and decreasing my alcohol intake by like 95%. And first time I did this race, I was third from last, like 45th place. And then the last time we ran it, I was third from first. And everyone thought, how in the heck did he do that? So I just want to pump that up to give a little cred. But I also just want to update you on a couple of things I've done to try to get more people into paddle sports, because it's had such a positive impact on me. In 2016, my wife and I founded the Appalachian Boarding Company with the mission of helping West Virginia regain balance, both on and off the board. For us, it was our solution to try to impact the opioid epidemic that was going on, and of course, our long-going issues with obesity, which both sides of my family has been afflicted by. We do mostly instruction, like 90% of our business is certified instruction using the American Canoe Association curriculum. Next, thanks to Try This West Virginia, we founded the Putnam County Paddle Co-op. We didn't want to call it a club because it is a cooperative effort to get more people on the water in our hometown. And this is just like a wealth of information and inspiration for people to get out. Of course, we've announced local events like the Tour de Col, which just got announced. We've got some paddleboarding events coming up. There's a picture I think I took from Melanie. And then some safety tips, like 2/3 of drowning victims are actually good swimmers. Did you know that? And when I said inspiration, we just like to show you kind of what other people are doing around the world in paddling. And we encourage BYOB in our paddle cooperative. That's bring your own board or boat. And we do other cool stuff like prevention pricing, which is where youth under 18 come and pay their age to paddle. That way, you know, we reduce barriers like financial barriers. And of course, we got a lot of awesome equipment. And we've actually started doing racing teams and stuff like that. So this is the fastest guy on earth. He's even fast when he's going slow, but I've gotten into racing and I really love it. Okay, I'm gonna flip over to some slides real quick and just show you what a random Tuesday night at the Putnam County Paddle Cooperative looks like. And photo credit goes to Kate Long of Try This West Virginia. So you show up, you signed your waiver. Next, you're getting ready to, freeze face, just like this guy. Before I tell you guys anything else or share any more secrets, I want you guys to promise something, okay? I'm asking everyone on the call to make a commitment, just like I do anyone else that I teach paddling to. And that commitment is that you guys always wear your PFD anytime you're on the water. Okay, this one has a whistle. It's by MTI, my favorite PFD. Here's a nice bright one. They can spot you on the river, won't miss you. Here's a nice ladies PFD too. So no excuses, borrow one from a friend. And if you go on one of those fun floats, you gotta have it. All right, I only got like a minute left. So there's my wife plugging the life jackets. Here we are handing out paddles. The pandemic was good to us. You know, in the past, I would have had to crowdsource people to, you know, for a photo session, like when Kate came out, but it was just like 25 people on a Tuesday. Did want to point out our biggest danger on the Kanawha River is that barge you see in the background. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse cursor, but over here is like the channel marker. We look to stay inside that. So if you're on the Kanawha River, look to stay close to the riverbank. Here's some regulars that have come out a lot. They're self-sufficient and they have their own gear. And I only have like a minute left, so I'm gonna keep blowing through it here. We use the boat ramp there, which is beautiful in Winfield, you know, thanks to everyone involved with that. We're going to hear some more about that as well. But I'm excited to see more diversity in paddle sports too, which is a big topic right now. And a lot more people spectating. So don't forget, there's a lot of people watching. Here's one thing I used to be intentional about to get more people interested in paddle sports is I would paddle it live on the levee on Friday nights. So boaters can see me there. They have to go slow through that wake zone there. And my kids are there. So whether it's 1,000 people watching the show, see a paddleboarder in the background, my kids see me doing it. And to me, that makes it all worth it. So a lot of what we do takes, you know, a leap of faith. So if you guys are out there, you got an outfitter or guider service, just keep plugging away. I keep doing your thing. Reach out to me anytime. Okay, I've got like 45 seconds left, and this one's for fun. I like to add dynamic situations to flat water settings. So what do you think's about to happen? Splash. This is on Lake Erie at a fun event we help host called Supcross. Here's the mega sup that we got with the Try This West Virginia grants. Here's an event we had in Winfield at the beautiful new boat ramp. We're so thankful to have that in our community. Here's my family out, the fastest man in the state in the background, Tom Samples. He smoked me last year, so he gives it all he's got. And here's some kids getting out on this mega sup. And one cool thing, when they learn to paddle on these flat water streams, they'll eventually embrace paddling whitewater. So here's just another more evidence that we've got a lot of folks coming out, almost 25 people on the river. I've got safety captains there, and you see that boat out there. So that's our main thing, guys. We've got to stay close to the side. so nobody gets hurt. Okay, so that's it. I know we have a poll that's going to pop up, but I just did want to allude really quickly to a couple other things you can get into. As I mentioned, diversity, equity, inclusion is a huge deal. There was a working group with the ACA that was founded recently, and that has evolved into a paddle sports action committee led by people of color to increase representation and safe paddling in all sectors. So thanks for not clacking me, Brittany, even though I went way too long, but I'm so stoked on SUP and everything it's done for me that I have a hard time containing it to 5 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evan. Your pictures are always great, and obviously those pictures were great because of Kate taking all of them. I also really liked your point about, I would never go whitewater rafting unless I felt really comfortable flat water rafting, and I never would have thought about that. So I went whitewater rafting twice with an experienced guide when I was in high school, when I was a little braver, but in a kayak, I need you and Melanie to help me. All right. So Evan said it. We're going to have a quick poll. Huge thanks to Melanie, John, and Evan for sharing their perspectives. This poll should pop up on your screen here, Zoom attendees. Facebook attendees, now is a good time to get in a good stretch or something. But this poll should pop up in front of you now, which asks several questions. It's about, to those who are watching on Facebook, the questions we're asking is, how important do you think it is to promote water safety among people new to paddling? How important do you think it is to maintain an easily accessible statewide listing of local paddling events? How important do you think it is to create a statewide map of access points? How important do you think it is to help local people create new access points? How important do you think it is to promote paddling as a tool in substance abuse recovery? How important is it to get more youth involved in paddling? And then there's a multiple choice option for folks to show what in those areas what they're already working on. Obviously, the folks who already spoke are promoting a lot of those things already, so they're I have a feeling they're answering those right now. But this is a way for us to see at a glance, an easy straw poll to see where interest lies or where priorities lie amongst these folks who are on this call and interested in promoting paddling in West Virginia. So that is a useful tool for us going forward to see, what might come out of this. And this is a good time to mention too that Try This wants to help the communities promote their own activities. So something that Try This wants to do is help a community identify that they want to do something and help them do that. We don't want to be in control of anything. So we are willing to, host another brainstorm or two, meetings to maybe if something comes out of this and folks want to create something in their communities, we'd totally be willing to host one or two of those after this. But going forward, we really hope that this is something that is controlled by the people who are interested in it and who want to make it happen. So we're super grateful for the folks who presented today so far. And as soon as this poll is done, we will move on to our folks from the DEP and DNR and who have some exciting things to share. So I will give this poll just a little bit longer to finish. It looks like 25 out of 29 people have already voted, which is awesome. All right. So with that said, I am super excited that on this call, we also have Tommy Bergstrom. She is with the West Virginia DEP, and she has a short presentation for us as well. And then we will have Zach with the West Virginia DNR to present when she's done. And after that, I'll be able to correlate and share this polling data before we actually get into the brainstorm and discussion part. So take it away, Tommy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting us to share some of the programs that we have with folks that are creating paddling groups or interested in seeing more of this happen. My name is Tommy Bergstrom, and I'm a Western Watershed Basin and the Project WET Coordinator at the Department of Environmental Protection. And I work within a group called the Watershed Improvement Branch. And we have 6 different programs within our branch that I'm going to tell you a little bit about. And I'm going to go through this really quick So if you're worried about writing down links or anything, I will have that as a PDF and I'll drop it in the chat box before we close today. So DEP is government, state government, and we have a lot of little silos that we work in. So I just like to orient people a little bit. Within DEP, we are under the Division of Water and Waste Management. We like acronyms, so DWWM, and then we are down here, the Watershed Improvement Branch. So we work with all things water, essentially. And this is our direct website if you want to check that out. Our headquarters are in Charleston, West Virginia, but we do have satellite offices across the state. And our mission is to inspire and empower people. We love working with people, we love collaborating with other people, and we really want folks to value and work for clean water. That's incredibly important to us, and if you're a paddler, it's probably incredibly important to you. So within our program, we have 6 different programs that we administer to educate, provide assistance, plan and implement water quality protection, improvement, and restoration projects. So today I'm going to briefly talk about these 4 programs that we have, but we do have 2 others that I have information on within this PowerPoint. So you can check that out if you're up in the Chesapeake Bay area, or if you're interested about mitigation programs that we have. So before we dive into that, I want to introduce the Basin Coordinators. We don't manage all 6 of these programs, but we do help people get connected to these 6 programs within the Watershed Improvement Branch. And I just want to let you know that on the call today, we do have Jennifer Little with us. She has this blue area, and you might notice we don't follow the West Virginia law and go by county. We are actually by watershed. So we work by watershed, which is quite confusing to some people, but this is how it looks. So I have the orange region over here. Martin Christ is up north in the green region, and Alana Hartman is over here in the eastern part of the state. And a fun fact, the 3 of us all drain to the Mississippi River, and Alana drains to the Chesapeake Bay, both being the Atlantic Ocean, so we're all connected to our oceans. We like to talk to people about non-point source pollution, which has multiple contributors. It's not just from one site. And we develop big plans to try to get projects on the ground to improve our streams. We cannot do that without the help of watershed organizations. And that is the main thing that we do, is that we foster and support these volunteer groups. We have a lot of information on our website. This is the direct link to get to our West Virginia watershed groups. And this is just an example of the maps that we have created. So being a visual person that I am, maybe you are, we have a map that you can click on, and the little blue dots, if you click on those, it will pop up with information about where this group is located, their Facebook page, their website, some things that they're working to fix in their community. But the one thing I want to point out is that we have tons of groups that are developing water trails, or they're simply just cleaning up trash out of the river so that people want to get on the river. Overall, it ends up attracting more people to recreate on the streams. A program that we have is called Non-Point Source Program, and Tim Craddock is the coordinator for that. This is essentially money that comes from federal EPA through the Clean Water Act. And the Clean Water Act is so critically important to the work that we do. So always support and speak highly of the Clean Water Act. It's really allowed us to have a stepping place to correct a lot of issues that we have in our streams. So if you want to learn more about that program, just contact Tim Craddock. He's out of Charleston as well with me. The other one is the Stream Partners Program. And this is a collaboration of 4 different state governments. Believe it or not, we actually talk to each other sometimes. So we have DEP, DNR, the Conservation Agency, and the Division of Forestry. So we have representatives from all of those groups come together, and Jennifer Power, my supervisor, administers this program. It is only awarded to watershed associations. So if you're like, man, I'd really like to get some funding, well, maybe you should become a watershed group. And the Basin Coordinators are here to help you do that. We normally fund between 20 to 23 organizations, and we do all kinds of different projects. But one of the main things is that we can support stream access projects. So I just wanted to point that out to you all. And these are just a couple of pictures of things that we have supported: trout in the classroom, catfish in the classroom, cleanups, pollinator gardens, all kinds of stuff. Another program is West Virginia Save Our Streams. This is a volunteer monitoring program. If you're interested in learning about water quality and want to know how to sample your streams, please contact Callie Sams, the program coordinator. She is in Philippi, but statewide. And the last program I want to tell you about is Water Education Today, Project WET. So that is a program that I administer statewide, and we like to educate people about water because we think it's pretty important. So we have a pre-K through 12th grade curriculum that we work with educators, formal and informal. We like working with the public too. So if you would like to get more familiar with that resource, please contact me. And the last thing I want to point out to you here is we have a calendar of events. So we have all these groups across the state that we are coordinating and working with. We see webinars, we see cleanup events, all kinds of different things. And we try to put that all onto our calendar here. And you might see here is a paddler's brainstorm that we're in today. So that was on our calendar. So awesome. So to check out our calendar, just click on this link here. And you can volunteer to help us keep our streams clean, to survey them, and to help create access to them. And the rest of this, I am just going to drop in the chat box. But we have information on the Chesapeake Bay program, our in lieu fee program, and a couple other DEP programs that you may be interested in if you want to clean up the stream, literally remove litter from it. So, okay, Brittany, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tommy. That was fantastic. I learned a lot on that. So thank you so much for dropping that in the chat. And to folks on Facebook, I will drop that in the Facebook comments in a minute as well. So I'll be looking for that. Thank you for presenting. Now we have Zach Brown with the West Virginia DNR. He has the unfortunate task of going last but not least. So Zach, you go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you very much. And I feel a little unprepared after Tommy's excellent presentation there. Good job, Tommy. Hi, I'm Zach Brown. I'm with West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, and we are involved in boating and paddling in many different ways. We got everything where we're involved, from licensing the outfitters for whitewater rafting to licensing guides for fishing. We also have a law enforcement presence out there in our lakes, rivers, streams. They will inform you of your boating safety violations and tell you that everyone has to have a whistle now when they're paddling. So that's a good thing to know. But today what I'm here to talk to you about is mostly about public access sites. And when we currently, I was going over the database a little bit ago, and I count over 350 existing public access sites that West Virginia DNR is involved in currently, and we're building more every day. That one in Winfield that Evan pointed out to you, that's in my background, it was an ordeal to finally get it done, but we did get it done, and the ramp's even on grade now, even though they had to pull it back out and re-pour it a little bit. So hey, boats can launch, stand-up paddle boards you can launch in anything, but we need to get the boats off the trailer too. But as I say, we are building more access as demand gets greater, but there is a limit to what we can do. And it becomes easier for us to construct new sites if we have active partners. When we partner with local organizations and local governments, it makes it very easy for us to say, yeah, we can put you in our list to get an access site built if you guys are willing to buy in and operate and maintain it. Operating and maintaining over 350 access sites could be an ordeal for any organization, especially one with limited funding. We get the majority of our funding through hunting and fishing licenses. We also get some federal aid in sport fish restoration, which has a portion of the motor boat fuels tax in it. And that allows us to build boat ramps that boats can use. Even if it's a carry down access where a person could carry down an electric trolling motor, that still qualifies under that program. So we have a certain portion of our money that has to be spent for that, and we do spend it for that. We have current projects on Meadow River, a big project on Elk River in Kanawha County. We're going to be moving to some improvements in the West Fork River coming up soon, and we have engineering studies going on at Capon and Opequon Creeks and in Middle Island Creek. So we are over the state. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. We'll see if this will work. Can you see the DNR website there? Okay, this is a website that was excellent when we built it back in 2002, but it's aged a little bit. We're going to go into major renovation. Hopefully this spring we will have it up and running. But if you are on our dnr.gov website, you can scroll down to our hunting and fishing pages, and you'll see a fishing map because we are all about fishing. If you click on this fishing map, and hopefully you're seeing the next screen, which shows you can select either hunting and trapping or fishing. And when we get to this, this is a GIS referenced map. It shows coverage out of over the whole state. The blue dots out of state are stream gauges, so we won't really pay attention to that. But we'll zoom in here to the West Fork in Harrison County, and you can see that we have access points all along this part of it, and then we're missing a pretty big chunk right in this area here. So that looks to us to an area where we might want to be developing some sites. But if you click on it, it'll bring up the information down at the bottom. And my laptop's kind of blocking it out there. So you can pull up the details, and you can even view it in Google Maps so you can get directions to the access site. So we think that's pretty relevant. We're always working to improve it. We're always updating it as we add new sites to our website. But I just did want to take a little bit of time to show you that there is, at least from a DNR standpoint, a list of the access sites in everything from our rivers to our lakes, but they're going to have a fishing component to it. If they are strictly whitewater paddling and there's something operated by the Park Service for that, not really much DNR involvement, I'm not sure we're going to have them on our site. So there is room for improvement when we talk about getting that comprehensive list out there. And I'm going to attempt to stop sharing.
All right. So what I'm going to do next is share the results from the poll. It should share with all of you. Can all of you see that? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just read these off briefly too for the folks watching on Facebook Live, so y'all can look at these details while I read these. So when we said, how important do you think it is to promote water safety? 96% said very important, and 1% said important. How important do you think it is to maintain an easily accessible statewide listing of local paddleboarding events? That was split 59% very important, 41% important. So we know that is a priority. Same results for how important do you think it is to create a statewide map of access points? So events and access points are a priority. How important do you think it is to help local people create new access points? 78% said very, 22 just said important. Then how important do you think it is to promote paddling as a tool in substance abuse recovery? 37% said very important, 41 important, 22% were neutral. How important is to get more youth involved? 67% said very and 33% important. So I think we can all agree getting young people out on the water is good. With all those pictures of Evan's kids paddling, I want to do it too. So, and then we had a lot of folks saying they're already working on this stuff. So we had 13 people already working in water safety, 4 already working on a statewide list of events, 5 on a list of access points, 15 are helping local people create access points. 5 people say they're promoting paddling as a recovery tool, 13 getting youth involved, and 11 said they're doing other things, which is exciting. But with that, I'd like to open it up to anyone who might want to share an idea, ask one of our presenters a question, or, you know, share what you're doing.
Lois Cole, Gasaway with Elk River. We have had 2 different groups that we know of get lost on the Elk this summer. And we think that's kind of funny because it runs right along State Road 4. And most of us know upstream from downstream. So we think it's kind of funny they got lost, but I think it is an issue for people who are not in the area. One situation was that our local paddle and yak kayak supplier says, "I'll meet you at the Frametown Bridge." And she gets there and she gets a text that says, "We're at the bridge." Well, she's at the bridge and they aren't there. So there is no signage on the Elk as to Sutton Bridge, Gasaway Bridge, Frametown Bridge. And I think that is a safety issue and also a comfort issue if you're kayaking and just want to know where you are. The second thing is mile markers. When I kayak, it's, well, how far have I come? And I know there's all kind of programs that track that. And we've been trying to work with the Elk River Trail Foundation to coordinate with the Department of Highways, and I don't know who all is involved to get approval for those mile markers. But those are the 2 things that I want to throw out there is mile markers and location identities, particularly, I don't want to mess up the waterways. I'd like to see these signs obvious, but not ugly on the Elk or on any of the other rivers. So one of the suggestion is to put them on existing structures like bridges or abutments or some building that was obvious along the side that's already there. So those are the 2 issues that we're dealing with is signage and location markers.
Yeah, does anyone have anything to say about that or work with that at all?
I would say.
Go ahead, Jenna. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. My name is Jenna Grayson. I'm at AmeriCorps Vista for WVU Science Adventure School. Excuse me. And sorry, I can't turn my camera on. I have terrible internet today. But my other thing that I would like to see is more signage on water class, like what level water is it? I know I'm down here in the New River Gorge, and there are a lot of issues with locals who don't understand or are not aware of the different classes of water. And so along the same lines of signage, I would say also classifying the water in the area would be great to have accessible at those, put-in points.
Thank you, Jenna. I also see Ella put in the chat that I would like to see the roadway, sorry, my chat moved, the roadway signs for water trail access points as they do for rail trails, public stream access, and fishing locations. Would this be an initiative for the Flatwater Commissioner, West Virginia Tourism, or some other agency that can encourage and help them make it happen? So it seems like signage on and off the water seems like a priority for folks.
I have something I can add to that too. This is Tommy Bergstrom with DEP, and we have been trying to work with tourism and DOH and see if we can get watershed boundary signs put along roadways so that people know what watershed they are driving through, just to help promote that awareness. And we thought it tied in really nicely to tourism. And additionally, if any group wants to form a watershed association, and I have been trying to get people rallied up around the Elk River forever, and I saw that there's a water trail, which is amazing. But if you would like to actually be a nonprofit organization and learn a little bit more about that, I've been in touch with a couple people, Dave, and I'd have to look up in my notes the other person, but I'd love to speak with you all more. You could apply for the Stream Partners Grant and then get signage installed along your river. So that's something we'd love to work with you on.
One thing that we've done up in the Morgantown area is we've worked on access points over the last 5 years, and we now have 4 kayak canoe launches up there. There are various designs, so there are 2 more down in Fairmont area. So if anybody is interested in actual launches, we've had quite a bit of experience up there, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that. We also have spent a lot of time working with the communities, in particular Star City and Morgantown, to try to get people using the river and helping them economically by spending money there. A good example of this is that we've designed kayak lockers to place, and right now we have a set of 6 of those in the downtown Morgantown area on Walnut Street as part of the park. And people can paddle up, they can lock their gear in a secure, and we're talking about everything, not just boat, but the paddle, all of your dry bag stuff, and you can put it in an opening, and that locks, and then you can go and eat and drink and do whatever you want and have your stuff safely stored while you're spending money in downtown Morgantown. And we're wanting to get 2 more of those kayak lockers put in. So if anybody wants to look at what we did relative, and they were made local, saved a lot of money doing it that way, but they're really nice. And so that's another thing that we've been doing there. Morgantown Area Paddlers has been organized. We've done 5 years of paddling now up there. It's a very informal group. You don't have to be 501c3. I'm retired and I've done all that stuff and didn't want to do it anymore. And so we just organized an informal group. We've done 167 outings in our 5 years, averaging 10 people per outing. And we do it within about a 2-hour radius of Morgantown. So if anybody's interested in how we pulled that off, again, I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that, but we really have a lot of fun with it, and it's very informal, nothing major. And by the way, hats off to the Stream Partners grants, because we've had, I think, 3 or 4 of those grants that have helped us get our access points together, get informational kiosks built at the access points. And so we've really taken advantage of that program, and, hats off to the DNR and the group of agencies for putting that program together. We love Martin.
Hey, Mary, this is Barbara Tucker. I'm in Weston, which is Lewis County. That's Stonewall Lake, Stone Coal Lake, the West Fork River, close to the Elk, etc. I'd really like to talk to you about how you organized your group, because I've for years been chatting about having a group for this area. So thanks for your advice on that. And I'm glad to hear that you have an average of 10, because sometimes we think if we don't have 100 people, we're not being successful. But you're right. Averaging 10 is great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're not out for the competition part. We're not out for the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, but we do it very, very steadily, very steady, and that's what people like. I mean, we're always doing some outings. And
so you just organized like a group of people and just said, we're going to call ourselves the Petty Paddlers or the whatever.
Right. And the W students did our logo for us. And so we have a neat logo, and we have a Facebook page, and we have a Google group. That's it.
Great.
How we communicate.
Cool.
So,
all right. Thank you, dear.
Sure.
That's awesome. As Barb Tucker's friend, I can say she has been talking for years. That's for sure. And Melanie beat me to it. She wants to paddle with Mary. I want to paddle with Mary too. Tommy also dropped in the chat that, like Mary said, you don't have to be a 501c3 to apply for Stream Partner Grant funds. You just need a fiscal agent. So that is awesome. Good information for people to have, because oftentimes having that fiscal component can be a challenge.
And just let me throw another thank you out to Ella Belling and the Morgantown, or in the Mon River Trails Conservancy, because there are things when we need a 501c3, and we've been able to partner. Morgantown Area Paddlers has partnered with them and Morgantown North Rotary and the Upper Mon River Association to do all kinds of financing of these things. So, there's lots of good opportunities for cooperation.
Awesome. I also want to give props to Mary for being the only other person, I think, with a cat tree with a cat in it in their photo. So I love it. That is great. And exciting, especially that collaboration and cooperation like Mary's talking about. That's what that's what gets projects like this off the ground and keeps them successful. I did want to really quick jump in and say that we had a question on the Facebook group. This is actually a Weston resident as well. My friend Ashley Montgomery is asking, other than organizing cleanups, how could we get involved to hurry things up for Weston's availability to an access point? So Ashley's recently gone into business to get a building that is literally right at the dam at the West Fork, in front of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston. So right below the dam is where her property actually meets the river there, and they want to, have some sort of kayaking rental or kiosk or something there at that location. So to start that, they need an access point. So her question is, apart from cleanups, how could we help speed that along here in our community? Does anyone have advice for her?
I guess I could speak to it a little bit. I had to figure out how to unmute myself there first. I guess the question I would have is, is she wanting it to be a private access that her company is the one that operates, maintains? Because there are those, and people
Right.
do operate those. You have to go through the permits, you have to get it designed properly, and you can do that, and that's not a problem at all.
I'm 99.9% sure she would want this to be public. So
okay. The public access sites are, what's the right phrase? DNR, we're slow, but the price is right. Because we can come in and utilize our federal funds and others to construct these. But early in my career in this position, I probably made a lot of people mad because I thought I could get things done really quick. That's not the case. I have to go through the same hoops of everybody else. We have to do our rare, threatened, and endangered species reviews. We have to do our culture and history reviews. So sometimes, it may be that private individuals or private groups want to go out and build an access site, and they don't have as many of the restrictions as we do. But there are still some restrictions that they have to follow. So I would suggest how to do it would be to get involved with your local DNR district in the Weston area. That's Jim Walker. He's the fish biologist out of French Creek. And, talk to him and say, hey, these are some areas that we'd like. What can we do?
thank you.
Hey,
Yeah,
Zach,
I obviously personally want that here in Weston. So
Zach,
ahead, John.
I will say, working with Dave Wellman out of District 1,
Mhm.
that he has a list of all the access sites that we're after on the West Fork. And there's one there at the dam, which is actually a portage around the Weston Dam, and an access right there. So he is putting together a comprehensive list. They want to do a turnkey kind of thing, from what I understand, whereby the engineering and contracting work is done by outside people rather than the fisheries biologists.
Oh yeah, certainly. We just because you know how to raise some fish and everything, it doesn't mean you know how to design and build a boat ramp. No. I have personally poured concrete at the tailwaters of Sutton, and maybe some in Summersville, but by and large, we subcontract that out to engineers and take more of a managerial role, with our subconsultants there. And we have to bid them out through the state bidding process. So we have to follow the procurement guidelines there. But
Well, there are some gaps on the West Fork, like you pointed out in the map. In fact, the particular one that you pointed out, the Highland Dam, is not an access point at this time. The roadway fell in, and it's waiting for the DOH to relocate a road before the property transfer takes place. So long and involved, I guess is the
yeah. It's an ongoing process.
I can make one more point about access point. We have a GIS expert as one of our paddlers, and So we got together over beer and pizza, which was a wonderful way to develop projects. And we developed a map, an online guide. We call it the Map Guide to Flatwater Paddling in and around Morgantown. We have over 30 sites on there. We've got to get some of John's on there, John, as soon as we get them in good shape, so we can add them to our map. But it's a wonderful online thing. I've put it in the chat. I've put the link in the chat, and it has pictures so that you know exactly what you're getting into. I think that's been really helpful, because just because you have an access point doesn't mean that my 86-year-old retired dentist can make it down there and get in his boat. So we have pictures and information for each one of them. So check it out, because it could be a statewide kind of thing, but it's specifically for flatwater access.
Any other ideas? Now is a good time to remind everyone that, Try This will have mini grants coming up in June. Our mini grants are up to $3,000 for projects. Obviously, being on this call and having a project doesn't automatically get you one, but this is exactly what we want, is these types of brainstorms where folks hear what other people are doing and might bring that to their community or work together to expand something that's existing. So if anyone else has anything else, we'd love to keep brainstorming.
Brittany, this is Courtney Crabtree. I'm here in Charleston. I just want to mention one thing, that this is kind of in the works and has been. It was started pre-COVID, but I've been working with the city of Charleston, and the hope is that this summer we're actually going to have city-sponsored shuttle, 1 or 2 evenings, probably just one evening a week for a couple of weeks in the middle of the summer, for paddles. So they just built a new access ramp at the Civic Center, and so the shuttle will pick people up there and then drive them up to Daniel Boone, and they can paddle back at their own pace. It's all kind of still in the works, but last year we were pretty much ready to go and COVID hit. So but it is kind of something to try to use a resource that's a little, you don't see a lot of paddling on the canal. A lot of people will poo-poo the canal, but on a weeknight, it's pretty quiet and fun to be out there. Evan showed you what it's like in Winfield, and it's pretty amazing to paddle past the state capitol. So just an idea that some cities might, something cool that some cities might be interested in doing.
I just wanted to dovetail real quick and give Courtney a shout out, because she's had this vision. She's been working on this vision for a while, and she's really vetted the vision too for years now. So and this is just, an example of the infrastructure that we need to take paddling to the next level in our state, and of course we all, I think, can agree our catalyst is safety. But, infrastructure, a friendly guide, it's 4.2 miles from Daniel Boone to the point she talked about. So I just want to pump up Courtney, and you guys lean in and jump on board with that if you're interested. And everyone can have a way to, contribute with the paddle sports movement. And since she did mention the new kayak launch behind the Charleston Coliseum, which is formerly known as the Civic Center, I just, again, with the keyword and focus being on safety, I want to identify hot spots or like danger zones like that, because I've hosted a couple events on that dock where it's almost like a thread and a needle for motorboats coming out of the Elk River, and sometimes they'll be wide open, and it's a narrow passing through there, and it pumps a massive wave. We had people almost slamming their heads on the dock, and I'm not trying to take away the excitement about that launch point, but I just want to get us connected to and conversing with the motorboat community on how we can look out for each other on the river. Again, it's wear your life jacket and watch out for each other on the river. It's like two simple points here. And again, there's spots like that, in the last 6 miles of the Coal River Water Trail, the beautiful 88-mile water trail, the final 6 as it pours into the canal below Lower Falls is shared. Kayakers share that with motorboats. And, and even with the Tour de Col event, we've got over 1,000 paddlers that come through there, and we just need to look out for each other. So my big thing on safety is how can we get the motorboat community talking with the paddling community and really work on that. I did have one point I'd like to cycle back on with the substance abuse prevention, but I'll save that for any more discussion on safety. I'll save that for later. maybe some closing thoughts.
Just keying off Evan when talking about the city, and with my talks with the city, they are definitely interested in something with safety classes as well, knowing that they do have that, launch point, but it's really hard to find anything through there. So I don't know necessarily if there's any way. I don't know if they're really into doing mini grants or anything like that. You know, they've got so much going on right now in other ways, but if anybody is interested with that kind of thing, I know they are really interested in trying to figure out how to offer some safety classes in the city of Charleston tied in with that launch point. And then with the DNR in here, it would be interesting to see if there's any way to make that a no wake zone just right through there at the entrance, because I've been on boats right through that area as well, speedboats and paddle boats, and you don't really need to be rolling into the canal right there at full speed anyway, probably because you're coming into a blind area. And so probably might not be a bad idea if we can work with the DNR to just make that a no wake zone. It won't fix everything, but it will fix a lot. Most boats are pretty respectful of that out there.
I love your assertiveness on that, Courtney. And I think Lois had a good point talking about signage. You know, there's like 6 or 7 bridges in that final stretch of the Elk. And it could be some signage underneath some of those bridges that said, hey, watch out for paddlers, you know, and any of these things can help. Signage, I think, could be great with navigating, but also just bringing awareness to the safety aspect too.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the one thing we have going for us in the upper part of the Mon River that is rather unique are the locks. You know, we have gated locks up there, and it's really fun to take a group of kayakers in one of these locks, you know, and watch the water go 18 feet in depth change. And we really enjoy putting that as one of the features of our trip. Last year, of course, with COVID, we didn't want to gather people around each other in a lock, but we'll be back doing that soon, hopefully. But that's a neat thing. If anybody ever wants to experience it, some of the locks are open. They're open at different hours, and we also post on our map page directions how to go through a lock if you're a kayaker or a canoeer. So yeah, it's a neat thing.
Neat.
I had a quick question for Mary, if I could, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mary, you mentioned that you had built some kayak and gear lockers for your
Yes.
water trail along the Mon.
Mhm.
We're developing the Tug Fork River in Williamson, right here in Hatfield, McCoy country. Williamson has a nice flood wall network, thanks to the Corps of Engineers, that protects our city. And we have a river walk along the bottom of the one that protects the business district. And we're hoping to develop something along that walk for kayaks. And that was something I was interested in, was those lockers. Could I get some plans or some pictures?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll put my email address to everybody so that if anybody has any questions, they can just email me.
Okay.
Get that?
Mary's about to make a lot of new friends.
Hey, that's all right. It's all right with me. I love this.
It's going to have an average of 15 this year.
Retirement is wonderful.
Yes. I'm going to also drop your email on the Facebook if that's okay with you, Mary, because some people are, I think, commenting on there too. I did want to draw attention. I see some of you answered. Jenna asked a question about if there's any like water knowledge, water outdoor safety in the statewide curriculum for students. And I see some folks replied that the Army Corps of Engineers brings things in. But I wondered if anyone else knew if that was something that's offered in the schools. I taught high school. I don't remember this being necessarily in any specific curriculum, but I could be wrong.
My name's Tony Daniel, and I'm with the West Virginia Wildwater Association. And the National Park Service has a water safety unit that they can do with classrooms. Now that's more southern West Virginia, based along the New and the Golly, but they do have a water safety unit that they can bring in. And
This is Barb Tucker at the Army Corps at Stonewall Dam does a water safety. It's not particular to paddling, but it is water safety, flotation devices, signs, etc.
Here, I know also when I taught, there was like a kayaking and fishing like school club that kids could attend, a couple times a week, and I know that they covered safety and stuff. But again, if you weren't in that club, you missed that. So it seems like this is something that people are really excited about, and we're super excited that we could facilitate this today. But I did want to give a little time to any of our presenters who maybe have any last minute things they'd like to wrap up or any last second questions. Melanie, I was thinking in particular, maybe you wanted to say something about Active Southern and what you all are doing. Do you have paddling as part of Active Southern?
Yes, we do. And we facilitate community programs where volunteers lead activities for us. And over the years have developed stand-up paddleboarding as our avenue for that paddle experience in partnership with the National Park Service and the Army Corps of Engineers and our county parks. And so we are looking at ways to broaden our geographic reach with that model. And it does work well to provide certifications for those volunteers in exchange for their volunteer time. So we have found that that's that nice exchange to pay for somebody's instructor level of ACA stand-up paddleboarding, and they can commit to volunteering and be reliable for us to schedule programming. So that model's working well for us, and we look forward to just developing that relationship more with other partners to reach more people across the area.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I told folks, if you don't know what Active Southern West Virginia is yet, you should check it out. They have so many cool opportunities, and seeing what they've done to expand their program is really exciting. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to share or last minute thoughts?
Hey, Brittany, can I take a turn, please?
Absolutely, yeah.
So my name is Joe Starrett, and I'm from Lewis County. I own Mountaineer RV and Outdoor Center. We do sell the several lines of kayaks here in the store. So I come from the competitive fishing side of paddling sports. So I tournament kayak fish. There is currently 4 local clubs in West Virginia. I am a member of the West Virginia Kayak Anglers, and our national club is Kayak Bass Fishing. And I just wanted to, let you guys aware of, the competitive tournament side. But so I fish all across the United States in tournaments. I was on Kentucky Lake 2 years ago. You had to qualify for the national championship. 763 kayak anglers qualified for that tournament. $100,000 first place. So, our local club, our West Virginia Kayak Anglers, will fish a venue of one tournament every month. We do a charity tournament. We do a fun float. And every tournament that we come in, we pick a almost like a charity or a need in the community. And, there'll be 150, 160 kayak anglers at every club. People's very generous when it comes to the charities. And so if you're not aware about the tournament side of it, we bank off you guys because we need the access points. We have 8 hours to fish. We're mapping it out. We're looking at the water levels online, making sure the volumes are there for fishing. So if you guys ever interact with any of the clubs, the fishing clubs in West Virginia, it really becomes a really good for the community. Sutton, the mayor of Sutton comes out and they cook for us. We buy lunch or supper. It's 3:30, 4 o'clock when we get there. We host a tournament here at for the Stonewall and Stone Cold tournament. We host it here at Mountaineer RV. We take a local charity, and I've seen over $600 given to a person in need. So So I just wanted to tell, if you guys, if you ever get to work with any of the fishing clubs, some of the best guys you'll ever, guys and gals, but some of the best people that you'll ever work with. But thank you, but we do actually bank off of what you guys are doing for access points, lake access and everything. So anyways, thank you for that.
We want you up on the Mon in Morgantown.
What's that? I'm sorry, Mary.
We want you to come and do a tournament on the Mon up in Morgantown. I've talked to a couple of your guys, but nothing ever happened.
So I'm not a part of that. They do have our schedule already set, but listen, I talk about it all the time. West Virginia has some of the most beautiful water. I fished the New on tournaments in Virginia, right out of Hinton. I've been scared to death a couple times on the New River, but I've stayed afloat and caught some fish. So, I try to get everybody. We sell the fishing line set on kayaks here. We're not really into the recreation type, but I try to get everybody, get involved in a club. Like I said, some of the best people you ever meet, and kudos to the DNR. You guys, the access points are great. We use them. We'll never be rich in this tournament kayak fishing, but it's more about the status of I beat you, so. But all right, thank you guys.
Thank you. That's awesome. And as my husband recently got into fishing on a kayak, will be in your store soon, I'm sure, to get one of those.
Hey, Brittany, I just wanted to piggyback on that and just add the closing thoughts. We saw on the agenda that part of my focus was SUP, but also substance abuse prevention. And, you didn't hear me talk about it much in my presentation because this is what it is right now. This is kind of the new approach to prevention, and sure, there's evidence-based prevention strategies that we incorporate, like with Putnam Wellness Coalition, who I work with too. But really, there's a model that's really starting to work, and we all know where we've come from as a state, but it's called the Upstream Approach. We can be downstream all day pulling people out of the river that have fallen in, but until we go upstream and figure out why are all these people falling in the river, they're just going to keep doing that. So when we look at the substance abuse crisis that ravaged our state some years ago, we have options and we have solutions, and we have a state full of beautiful natural resources to leverage in the mission for helping us overcome this. And it's great from a tourism standpoint, creating a healthy workforce, a healthy, sober workforce. And, it's not always abstinence completely to drugs and alcohol, but it's a balance of incorporating these healthy alternatives into our lives. So I just want to, put a punch on that at the finish and thank all of you guys for what you're doing, whether it's fishing or creating boat lockers up on the Mon River and all of these things. It really helps set the tone in our environment and shift the landscape to a brighter, healthier future for West Virginia. So I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I've got family, like I mentioned, that have been afflicted with serious addiction issues, and of course, obesity on the other side. But like the Try This West Virginia model it's a focus on healthy food and physical activity. And there's so much we can do to learn from each other and partner. And one last thing, I love we could coordinate calendars, and it looks like we have a lot of common goals here. And I just wanted to finish with that closing thought and how near and dear it is to my heart. So if anyone on the call is afflicted with any issues centered around SUD, substance use disorder, or if you'd like to incorporate just, paddle for prevention strategies into your community, please reach out to me at Evan Regional Family Resource Network. I put that email in. So that's the other side of why we paddle for a purpose. But I'm so excited that everyone else on here has such great purposes we paddle for.
West Virginia is the 14th wettest state in the country. We have plenty of water resources. There isn't, I think, a town or city that doesn't have a river running through it somewhere that we can capitalize on.
Right.
When I used to run Google Analytics a lot before the pandemic, I can't tell you what year it was, but West Virginia was #1 for kayak fishing and also for kayak sales. So again, we have a lot of resources that we can leverage as far as paddling that extends out to like Evan's saying, with substance abuse. So I think there's just a tremendous amount of potential.
Thank you. And I think that's so true. The collaboration aspect of it, and not just thinking about like, I want to go paddling, how can I do that for me? Yeah, I think it takes these collaborations and thinking about expanding paddling means, working with other organizations that may have not been worked with before, or new ideas. So I really appreciate this. I think a lot of folks have a lot of ideas about what could come out of this conversation. We are 2 minutes to an hour and a half, which has been really, really awesome. I'm so excited about all that's come out of this. I can say that we will certainly be following up by email to the folks who are on here. To the folks who are on Facebook, in a second, I will drop my email into the chat. If you want to be looped into this, for sure, you can contact me. We would love to get you in on this. But like I said, Try This would be totally interested in facilitating another one of these conversations. And hopefully from there on, it can become its own thing to have this little collaborative who want to expand and promote paddling and water access in the state of West Virginia. So with that, a huge, huge thanks to our presenters. Thank you to everyone who hopped on and participated and shared their own things. Thanks to Mary for becoming everyone's new best friend. And we appreciate all of you, especially Joe, who's definitely going to have my husband buy a kayak from him. We really appreciate this. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And yeah, thank you so much. Get out on the water. Bye, y'all.